Imagine waking up tomorrow to find that your friendly neighbor has become your biggest competitor. That's exactly what's happening with Canada right now, and it's about to hit your wallet harder than you think. Here's the bombshell. Canada just pulled the energy rug right out from under America's feet. They're redirecting 900,000 barrels of oil per day straight to Asia. That's 61% of what we currently import from them, vanishing like morning mist. Think $4 per gallon at the pump sounds like a nightmare? Better brace yourself, because that's where we're heading by fall 2025. This isn't just about pain at the pump. It's a seismic shift that's going to ripple through every corner of our economy. Why would our longest-standing trade partner suddenly turn away? While we were flexing our muscles with tariffs and tough talk, Canada was quietly building an energy empire, signing massive deals with China, Japan, and India. The Trans Mountain Project isn't just a pipeline. It's Canada's declaration of independence from U.S. energy dominance. They're selling America's energy security to the highest bidder in Asia. Here's what keeps energy experts up at night. Our Gulf Coast refineries, specifically designed for Canadian oil, could face severe disruptions. This isn't just about higher gas prices. It's about potential job losses, manufacturing slowdowns, and rising costs for everything from groceries to deliveries. Remember when Canada was our reliable northern neighbor? Those days are ending. They've learned to play the global energy game, and they're playing to win. While Washington was focused on tariffs and trade wars, Canada was building its future with new partners who are hungry for energy. The question isn't whether this will affect you, it's how much you're willing to lose before we wake up to this new reality. Can America adapt to a world where Canada competes against us instead of supplying us? That's what we're about to find out, and the clock is ticking. Ready to understand what this means for your future? Stay tuned, because this story is just beginning. Seismic shift in North American oil trade. Canada's bold move east. A dramatic transformation is reshaping North American energy as Canada signals a historic pivot toward Asian and European markets. This shift threatens to disrupt the flow of 4 million barrels of oil per day to U.S. refineries, representing 60% of U.S. oil imports. Danielle Smith, Alberta's premier, has emerged as a key figure in this energy chess game. Her message is clear. If U.S. policies become restrictive, Canada will redirect its energy exports elsewhere. The implications could trigger price shocks across the American economy. The situation is critical due to U.S. Gulf Coast refineries being specifically designed for Canadian heavy crude. Any reduction in Canadian oil flow could force costly refinery modifications and increase gasoline prices nationwide. The effects would extend beyond fuel prices. Transportation costs would surge, affecting food distribution and manufacturing, potentially accelerating inflation and pushing the economy toward recession. Global energy powers are watching closely. Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Iran see opportunities, while China's growing influence adds complexity. The question isn't just whether traditional producers can fill the gap, but if they can compete with China's expanding reach. U.S. policymakers face two challenges: securing alternative oil sources and increasing domestic production. Both require significant time and investment. The concern is whether these alternatives can be implemented before economic damage becomes severe. This represents more than an energy dispute. It's a fundamental realignment of North American economic relationships. As Canada asserts its independence in global energy markets, the U.S. faces difficult choices about energy security and partnerships in an increasingly multipolar world. The consequences will reshape not just energy markets, but the entire fabric of U.S.-Canadian relations, marking the end of an era in North American economic cooperation. America's energy independence myth faces reality check. The U.S. claims energy independence, but a closer look reveals a different story. Canada sends 900,000 barrels daily to Gulf Coast refineries, essentially the lifeblood of American energy processing. This dependency creates a vulnerable position for U.S. markets. If Canadian oil flow reduces, New England could face gas price spikes of 20–40 cents per gallon. Canada provides 11,000 gigawatt-hours of electricity annually to the U.S. grid. Replacing these resources isn't simple. Alternative suppliers like Venezuela come with reliability concerns. The Trump administration's revival of tariffs triggered a calculated Canadian response. Ottawa strategically targeted U.S. ethanol imports, a crucial lifeline for American farmers. This move demonstrates Canada's growing confidence in leveraging its energy assets. Meanwhile, Europe has become a new priority market for Canadian exports. March 2025 saw 8 million barrels shipped to the EU, double the previous quarter's volume. Canada's transformation from reliable neighbor to global energy powerhouse includes more than oil. Their portfolio spans uranium, rare minerals for EVs, and clean electricity generation. This positions Canada as an essential player in both current and future energy landscapes. The strategic shift raises questions about U.S. energy security. As Canada redirects resources to other markets, American consumers may face increasing costs and supply uncertainties. Looking ahead, 3 scenarios emerge. 1. U.S. markets adapt through domestic production. 2. New international partnerships develop. 3. A renegotiation of U.S.-Canada energy trade occurs. For viewers concerned about energy costs and security, monitoring this evolving situation becomes crucial. The coming months may determine whether America's energy independence claims hold up against market realities. What's your take on this shifting dynamic? Share your thoughts below. Global markets shudder as Trump returns to Washington, signals aggressive economic stance. Financial markets tumbled and international tensions spiked as former President Donald Trump returned to Washington, bringing declarations that sent immediate shockwaves through global trading floors. His arrival triggered what analysts are calling a perfect storm of economic and diplomatic uncertainty. Within hours of landing, Trump outlined plans that rattled both Wall Street and international allies. The former president announced intentions to implement widespread tariffs, potentially affecting 10 or 15 countries in what he described as an initial tranche. This declaration sent U.S. stock indices into a steep decline, with the Nasdaq, Dow Jones, and S&P 500 all recording significant losses. Most troubling to constitutional scholars was Trump's casual mention of seeking a third or even fourth term, despite clear constitutional term limits. "I don't want to talk about a third term now," Trump stated, before adding, "We have almost 4 years to go." The former president's statements about Canada particularly alarmed experts. "We don't need energy from Canada, we don't need lumber from Canada, we don't need anything from Canada," Trump declared, threatening to dismantle decades of crucial North American trade partnerships. Market analysts note that Trump's proposed global tariffs could trigger a worldwide recession. "The whole world will be taxed," he stated, suggesting a dramatic shift in U.S. economic policy that could reshape global trade relationships. While Trump paints a picture of a golden age America under his leadership, economic indicators tell a different story. The U.S. dollar's stability has been affected, and billions in market value have evaporated since his return. For investors and citizens alike, these developments raise serious questions about economic stability and constitutional governance. As one Wall Street veteran noted, "Markets hate uncertainty, and right now, uncertainty is all we're getting." Economic storm clouds gather as Q1 forecasts signal recession. The U.S. economy is showing critical warning signs as Q1 GDP forecasts project a 2.8% contraction. The Atlanta Federal Reserve suggests a recession isn't approaching, it's here. European markets have now overtaken U.S. stocks, marking a dramatic reversal of traditional economic hierarchies. While economic experts signal distress, former President Trump's response raises eyebrows. "I haven't heard that term in years," he stated, dismissing recession concerns with promises of Boomtown USA. This stance towards serious economic indicators has left many Americans uneasy. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, responsible for the Liberation Day economic plan, has notably avoided media appearances and declined to address mounting concerns. This lack of transparency comes at a crucial moment when clear communication is essential. The proposed 20% global tariff on all imports has sent shockwaves through financial markets. Mark Zandandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, offers a sobering assessment. "There's no good case here. It's just dark variations on a dark theme." The plan draws parallels to the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of the 1930s, which historically contributed to deepening the Great Depression. Market reactions have been swift, with major indices experiencing sharp declines even before official implementation. Zandandi projects unemployment could surge from 4% to over 7%. indicating a significant recession. This comes as inflation concerns persist, raising the specter of stagflation, a combination of economic stagnation and rising prices. The situation mirrors disruptions seen during conflicts in the northern Black Sea region, where trade restrictions similarly impacted global markets. With markets already reacting and economists warning of severe consequences, the coming months could prove pivotal for American economic stability. The question remains, will history repeat itself with tariff-induced economic turmoil? Here's a carefully structured 1875-character news analysis. Economic warning signals. Flash red, tariff policy threatens massive job losses. Leading economists are sounding alarm bells over a potential three-step plunge into recession, triggered by proposed tariff policies. Chief among them, Mark Zandi presents a sobering analysis that challenges conventional wisdom about tariffs and revenue. Despite claims that increased tariffs would boost government income, the reality appears far grimmer. A 20% tariff implementation could push the economy into recession before collecting a single dollar of revenue. Here's why. The domino effect starts immediately. Rising import costs lead to job losses, triggering decreased consumer spending. This creates a downward spiral where both personal and corporate tax revenues plummet. Simultaneously, government spending surges on unemployment benefits, food assistance, and housing subsidies. Our North American trading partners are already scrambling to respond. Mexico, whose supply chain with the U.S. supports 14 million jobs, has dispatched weekly diplomatic missions to Washington. Former Deputy Foreign Minister Julian Ventura emphasizes the broader impact on consumer confidence, markets, and investment stability. Meanwhile, Canada's activation of its emergency response protocol marks an unprecedented tension in U.S.-Canadian relations. Wall Street's reaction was swift and negative, with investors drawing parallels to the infamous Smoot-Hawley tariff of 1930, a policy widely credited with deepening the Great Depression. The market response to what's being called Liberation Day, supposedly marking America's freedom from trade barriers, has been anything but celebratory. Instead, we're seeing a mass exodus of investors and a chorus of warnings from economic experts. Critical questions emerge. Are we witnessing the early stages of a manufactured crisis? How many American jobs hang in the balance? And perhaps most urgently, how close are we to crossing an economic point of no return? Breaking. White House press briefing spirals into crisis management. In a startling display of communication breakdown, a 4-minute press briefing has exposed deep fissures in the administration's ability to address crucial national concerns. Caroline Leavitt, the chief spokesperson for the 47th president, struggled with basic questions. The briefing reached a critical point when addressing the president's contradictory stance on pricing policies. After promoting tariffs to tear up and tax, the administration privately urged domestic automakers to hold prices down. That was a private conversation, Leavitt stammered, setting the tone for what would become a series of evasive responses. Most alarming was her 3-word dismissal of a serious national security breach. The case is closed. This response sent shockwaves through military families and veterans' communities. The economic discussion proved equally troubling. When confronted about retirees' concerns over market volatility, Leavitt recycled talking points about the previous administration. The Atlanta Federal Reserve reports a GDP contraction of negative 3.8%, a reversal from the positive 3.9% projection 2 months ago. The administration's disconnect between rhetoric and reality is concerning. While claiming to save taxpayers' money and drive down inflation, the spokesperson offered no concrete plans to address economic challenges. Financial analysts are troubled by the combination of contracting GDP, market instability, and unclear policy direction. When you see this level of communication breakdown coupled with negative economic indicators, it's a recipe for market uncertainty, notes economist James Morton. The briefing's aftermath has left both media observers and policy experts questioning the administration's grip on key issues. With mounting economic pressures and security concerns, the American public deserves more than deflections and recycled talking points. This press conference may mark a turning point in public perception of the administration's competency. As one senior political analyst observed, in times of uncertainty, clear communication isn't just preferred, it's essential for maintaining public trust. Here's a 1875 character news story focused on the contradictions in immigration policy. Trust in our immigration system faces another critical test, as a controversial deportation case reveals deep contradictions in policy enforcement. A Maryland father, despite having legal protection and no criminal record, was deported to El Salvador, where he now finds himself in a facility housing gang members. The case highlights a growing rift between judicial authority and executive actions. When questioned about ignoring a standing judge's order, administration officials deflected, with Levitt responding, "Who does that judge work for?" seemingly dismissing the autonomy of immigration courts operating under the Department of Justice. Attorney General Pam Bondi's office, while pledging to eliminate inconsistent and misleading statements, appears to be entangled in its own contradictions. When confronted with the fact that the deported individual had no U.S. criminal record, officials pivoted to broader statements about gang-related crimes, referencing a tragic Maryland case involving MS-13. Even staunch administration supporters like J.D. Vance stumbled, incorrectly attributing the protective court ruling to the Biden era. The record shows it was actually issued in 2019 under the Trump administration. This case exemplifies a pattern of institutional conflicts that's eroding public confidence. Immigration judges, theoretically independent arbiters of justice, find their decisions increasingly challenged or ignored by executive agencies. For taxpayers and families caught in this system, the message is troubling. Legal protections, even when granted by proper authorities, may not withstand political pressures. The cost isn't just monetary. It's undermining faith in governmental institutions. As gas prices climb and recession fears loom, these deportation controversies add another layer of uncertainty to an already anxious national mood. The real price of such policy contradictions may be paid in lost trust, a currency that's increasingly hard to